In this video, we are going to be focusing on workflow. Hi guys, my name is Gerrard and I'm a photographer here in Montreal, and in this video I want to go in a little bit more detail about workflow, but specifically for this video, what exactly is workflow in photography. Now in coming videos I'm going to be going in depth into each section of my workflow, but before I do that I just wanted to touch on exactly what it is for anybody who wasn't sure exactly what people are talking about when they talk about photography workflow. And it needs to be pointed out that workflow is going to vary from photographer to photographer, and it all depends on what kind of photography you do, what backup process you use, and just what works for you and your particular process. But today I just want to touch on how I do things and my process from what happens from when I finish a shoot all the way through to when I deliver the pictures to my clients, and even what happens after that. As you develop your own workflow, you'll start to build a step-by-step process which you will repeat and repeat after each shoot, from backing up the pictures, making sure they're safe, to editing them in a consistent way, and then delivering the images to your client in a timely manner. So step one of the process is just getting those photos off your camera and onto your computer. And that basically means taking the cards out. I use dual cards on my camera, so I have an instant backup of everything that I shoot. But then I will take one of those cards, put it in a card reader, transfer those onto a hard drive, which is pretty much always an external hard drive, so that I don't have too many files on my actual computer. And then make sure that they're backed up on one hard drive and then another, and then backed up to the cloud. So after that process is done, I technically have 5 copies of every picture that I've taken already. I have 2 cards, 2 hard drives, and then my digital backup, all pretty much mirroring what's on the original card. So the next part of the process is to make your selections of the images from the shoot that you are going to edit and then deliver to the client. And over the past few years, I've always used Photo Mechanic for this job. But recently I've moved to another software, which I'm going to do a full video on, which is called Narrative Select. So once I've made all my selections, I'll make another folder alongside the original folder where I then copy all my selections into that folder. And those are the images that I'm then going to import into my editing software, which for me, first stop is always Lightroom. So once all the images are loaded into Lightroom, this is where I spend the most time really, where I'm going to not only edit each image individually, but I'm also going to add my copyright for when I'm exporting them and sending them to the client. Just taking time to kind of bring each image to life, give it the look that I'm trying to get, and try and make that look consistent throughout the set of images before I then export them into a new folder on my hard drive, which will be my edited, finished pictures. Now for the editing part of my workflow, I also then import those pictures that have come from Lightroom that are pretty much finished, but I give them a little bit of extra kind of magic dust on top using a program called Exposure. And I'm going to go into that in a future video, so if you want to see that, stick around, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff. But that's just putting like a kind of a polish onto the pictures and just a filmic look that I really like, that just sets my images apart a little bit and hopefully gives them a little bit of my unique kind of look. So after I've edited all the pictures, I will make sure everything is backed up in multiple places again. I'll have a folder now with the originals, with my selections, and also the finished images that have been through Lightroom and Exposure. And then it's just a case of how am I going to get those pictures to the client. Now, most of my clients get their pictures for the first time in a slideshow of the best pictures from their shoot. So that'll be the first thing that I usually send out, and that will be a private page on my website where their pictures are set to music and they can see them for the first time, and hopefully the music gives a little bit of emotion as well. It's a nice way to see pictures for the first time, I think. And then after that, I will give them their own complete online gallery where they can download all the pictures. They can order prints if they want. And for that, I use a company called Shootproof. There's various other people that do that as well. but Shootproof have been great for me. They're not sponsoring this video or anything like that, but I do definitely recommend them, and I've been using them for a long time. And that's kind of the final part of the process for me. Once the slideshow has gone out and the images have been uploaded to Shootproof, and then I send them a link to that gallery. Hopefully they can download everything for themselves. I always tell them to make sure they've got a backup as well, but I will have multiple backups here. Also, that's just another extra backup because they've been uploaded to their online gallery, and that will stay online for as long as I choose. And so it's just more backups on backups on backups, and you can never have too many backups. Then the last part of my workflow for a particular shoot would just be to make sure that all the images, all the finished images, are in the right folders, in multiple hard drives, and everything is safe and in different places. And once that's done, then that's the end of my workflow, and it's on to the next job. So like I say, I've got lots more videos coming specifically for each part of this process, starting with how I download the images from the camera to the hard drives, how I back everything up, and I'm going to show you the exact process that I go through so you can actually follow along with me. Hopefully that'll be useful, because that part of the process is probably one of the most important things you need to get right, and it's really, really, really important that pictures are safe and backed up correctly. And every time that you do a shoot, you do the same thing, so you know that everything's done properly, and you know that all your pictures are where they should be before you go on to the next part of the process. Basically, if you're a photographer, the question is not whether to have a workflow, but how a workflow is going to make sure that you are consistent and organized within, even if you're not a professional photographer, you want to know where your pictures are. You want to know that they're correctly backed up and safe. When I was starting my photography journey, I made multiple mistakes, losing images, not knowing where the images were, even though they were backed up. And then I just kind of progressed over the years and streamlined the whole system so that everything was efficient, everything was consistent, all my images were always safe, and I knew where they were. I hope this video was useful. It's just an introduction really to what's coming up. If you found it useful, give me a like down below and subscribe if you want to see those next videos that are coming up. Otherwise, we will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.